Hi there, I'm Namish Patel Owen, and you're listening to Live Your True Self, episode number 50, celebrating 50 episodes. After 18 years doing corporate, in 2018 it became about doing me and doing what I love. It wasn't that long ago that I too felt stuck, lost, and asking myself, who am I anyway, and what's my purpose? Full of self-doubt, fear of failure and confusion. Fast forward to this moment and you'll see a version of me that's true to myself. Calm, confident and clearer than ever before, inspired by Krishna's words in the Bhagavad Gita, one must deliver himself with the help of the mind and not degrade himself. The mind is the friend of the conditioned soul and his enemy as well. So perspective is everything. And no matter where you find yourself on your spiritual journey, allow me to guide you to drop out of your head the busyness in your mind and drop into your heart the sacred space that holds your beautiful soul so that you too can awaken your true self and live life more meaningfully in this moment. Take a deep breath and listen on in. Are you a high achiever and action taker who values personal growth? If so, you know that the only barrier standing between you and your true potential in this next chapter is your own limiting beliefs and stories. It's time to break free and become the best version of yourself doing what you love. During our free consultation call, we'll connect on Zoom to delve into your journey. We'll assess where you are now, where you aspire to be, and most importantly, how we can bridge that gap together. In just 60 minutes, you will gain valuable insights and clarity with absolutely no obligation to commit. It's that simple. The session is guaranteed to be deeply supportive and insightful, leaving you with a clear roadmap to become your highest self. Don't hesitate any longer to tap into your goodness. Book your free consultation call now. Go to www.namishapatelowen.com/book consult. Your higher self awaits. Hello, my lovely. Welcome back to another episode of Live Your True Self. How are you? I'm okay. Getting better day by day after being sick for a while. But I'm here and I'm very excited for this episode because we're celebrating 50 episodes of Live Your True Self. And I am so grateful for you being here. It really, really means the world to me. So this week we're celebrating 50 episodes of the podcast, and next week we're also celebrating 5 years in business. So it seems like April is the month of celebration over here in Namish Patel Owen Coaching Limited world. And I just want to say thank you for you celebrating with me. It, as I say, means the world to me. So even though I'm a little bit poorly, I am really leaning into these important milestones and taking the time to really pause and enjoy this moment, because as high achievers, we are all about moving on to the next thing and the next thing. And we have big ambitions, which is amazing. However, we often get ahead of ourselves and don't stop to really pause and be in the present moment to see and acknowledge how far we've come and who we've become and all the goodness. So I am making a point to do that here, even though my brain wants to move on too. But It was this time last year when really the podcast started. And it was a time where I was feeling all the feels after my lovely daddy passed away. And I noticed that I really wasn't up for going out and networking and not really up for meeting people, particularly in person. And I'm an introvert anyway. And at that time, I remember just wanting to be by myself and taking care of me and my wellness in terms of emotional and mental health and process grief in in the comfort of my own home, whilst being present for my family and my duties. And so, really, I found an opportunity to launch the podcast, which is something that I've always wanted to do, but for whatever reason, just didn't find the I don't know, that kind of instinct and that real inner pull towards it. But at this point, I felt it, and it was the perfect time for me to launch the podcast, particularly where I found myself. And it really stemmed from an opportunity for me to express me. And that was it, really. So I definitely, even though I'm an introvert, I definitely have the desire to connect with people and to, build relationships and to have meaningful conversations with people. But as I say, at this point, it was all about kind of conserving my energy and staying within. But the podcast stemmed from me thinking that it would allow for an expression of me, because I still wanted to share value and serve people with my goodness and what I know and my experiences and do what I do best. And so I launched the podcast. And it's something, as I say, I always wanted to do from early on in my business. And one of the first things that I actually invested in, after setting up the business back in 2019, probably within the first year, is investing in a microphone. And it was, like the proper podcast microphone that was recommended by some of the marketing gurus that I was following. And so I had the microphone for more than 3 years prior to actually starting the podcast, which is so fun. So you can really see how long that it had been brewing for and kind of marinating. And I have to say that this episode is actually a bit of a challenge for me, because I'm really inviting myself to celebrate 50 episodes, but really take stock of me and who I've become in the process of 50 episodes of this beautiful podcast. And my husband and I call it blowing your own trumpet, and it's something we both don't like doing, and it's not a bad thing. Blowing your own trumpet is not a bad thing. And honestly, I know that if you don't celebrate yourself, then kind of you can't expect anyone else to. And this is what I teach particularly for us as high achievers, we have to acknowledge ourselves and we have to celebrate ourselves, because I know we want the recognition and acknowledgement from others. And so we have to do it for ourselves first. And as I say, this is what I teach. And so I have to practice what I preach. So in this episode, I am blowing my own trumpet, but it is in a good way. And actually, my hope is that it will inspire you and allow you to hear something that you need to hear right now, and create a spark and an insight for you that you can take away. So we get to celebrate ourselves, we get to acknowledge ourselves, we get to be proud of ourselves and allow ourselves to indulge in our own goodness, right? That is something we must do. And so this is what I'm doing on this episode. So I'm going to share 8 reasons why I am proud of myself when it comes to celebrating 50 episodes of Live Your True Self podcast. And I also thought I'd take the opportunity to share some behind the scenes of the podcast and kind of what I use and how I create the podcast, and share a little bit about how the magic behind the scenes all comes together. So I am so proud of myself. I'm super proud of myself, and I genuinely say that from my heart. And I am super proud of you too, because I know if you are here, you are also on your journey of personal development and self-discovery. And I am so privileged to be your guide and be embarking on this journey with you together. And so grateful that you have placed your trust in me to inspire you. And I am so proud of you, and I'm so proud of you showing up to this work, because it's not easy, right? It requires you to dig deep. It requires openness and honesty and vulnerability to really see and do your own work. And so I'm super proud of you. But let me share 8 reasons why I am proud of myself. Number 1, self-created and managed. I create and produce and market the podcast myself. And that's coming up with the outline and the meditation, plus the editing, adding the intro, the outro, plus the music, hosting it on the software platform. I have taught myself all that I need to know and do, and I figured it all out. And I have to say, I'm super proud of myself. Once upon a time, as I say, it was a dream of mine to be a podcast host. And I love listening to podcasts, and I was in awe of people who had podcasts and showed up week in, week out with, inspiring and useful, knowledgeable content. And here I am doing the same. And I'm super proud of myself that I literally do everything from start to finish, and have done for the last 50 episodes, figuring it all out along the way. And I hope that it is received well, and that you can see how much I put into it. And it's worth saying though, one thing I'd like to do more of is marketing of it. And perhaps get some help to do that in due course. But yeah, the marketing side of it is something really for me to focus on, and perhaps you can help me do that, and I will share how a little bit later on. The number two, why I'm proud of myself, is my intention behind the podcast. As I said, the way it kicked off and the energy that I was in was very much it being an opportunity to express myself and share and leave my legacy. And I always thought that even if no one listens to the podcast, which is obviously not true, but this is where my brain went, actually I would create the podcast for my children, particularly my daughter, who's 10 at this point, and a mini me. So everything I share on the podcast is everything I wish I'd known and understood many moons ago when my high achieving brain was on overdrive, keeping me small and stuck and making me feel inadequate and full of doubt. And the intention behind the podcast was very much an opportunity to leave my legacy behind and for my daughter to literally go and sponge all the goodness that she needs when she's ready to receive it. And that was my intention behind the podcast. Just, yeah, literally an opportunity to express myself and to leave a legacy behind. And I had and still have no preconditions. It's just me sharing value from my heart to yours in my own unique way. And it's from a thought that I have so much value to offer. And the podcast is the perfect way to do that. So yeah, I'm just really proud of that intention and the fact that there are no preconditions, which keeps the podcast so light and full of goodness. Number three is consistency. When I first launched the podcast, I read about the number of podcasts that had started, particularly over lockdown, with so much excitement. And I also read how many podcasts just stopped and fizzled out, and the host just stopped showing up and sharing content, and how, like the podcast just became redundant. And I have to say, like, honestly, hosting a podcast takes commitment and discipline to show up every week if that's your frequency, and it is for me. It takes thought and planning and, a freshness and, purpose and intention, which is what we spoke about. And for me, it's totally worth it. Totally worth it. And so I'm so proud of myself for staying consistent week in, week out, sharing the podcast. Sometimes it's been just in time, and I've noticed that and I've managed that. And other times it has been in advance, which is great and what I want to do more of going forward. Number four, which is related to this, is resilience. So I'm so proud that, like, despite challenges, setbacks, and, life's obstacles along the way, I've remained resilient and persevered, demonstrating my commitment to my intention and the mission behind this podcast, which is very much to leave my legacy and to share value with whoever needs to hear this. And in doing so, week in, week out, I've shown my mind that I am capable of doing what I say I'm going to do. So last April, right, April 2023, I set out to create this podcast, and here I am 50 episodes in, so 50 weeks in, continuing to do what I say to do what I said I was going to do. And that has just built my resilience and my integrity muscle, which is fantastic. Another reason why I'm proud is that it's me leaning into and using my strength, which is my voice. And related to that is like authenticity. So I've stayed true to myself and who I am and my style and my message, and authentically sharing my experiences and insights and vulnerabilities with you. And I'm just open to it. Like, I'm so grateful that you are here, and I'm so grateful that we can have this heart-to-heart conversation week in, week out, and that you place your trust in me. And so it's an honor to lean into my strength and, as I say, utilize my voice and my experiences and share that with you, because it's everything I wish I'd had once upon a time. And so that's why I'm here, doing it for you. Number 6 is growth and learning. Producing 50 episodes, I have experienced personal and professional growth, refining my skills as a podcaster, as a communicator, a business owner, and a general high achieving human. Some of the things that I have shared with you here on the podcast are some of the things that actually serve me when I need them. So I have gone back to my gratitude prayer, and I have gone back to the reset meditation, which I think was like a 5-minute kind of reset motivation talk. And it's just so helpful. It's just so useful, not only for me to go back to, but also for you to go back to. And so it's been a growth and learning journey for me. And the learning, really, throughout the journey, I've embraced a mindset of continuous learning in terms of topics and honing in on my specific message and what I want to convey and what I stand for, and also a mindset of continuous improvement, seeking out new knowledge and perspectives and skills to not only share with you on the podcast, but also to enhance the podcast. Number 7 is impact. There's another reason for me to be proud is impact. The podcast has made a positive impact on the lives of you and all my listeners. And I am so, so grateful. And it's inspiring me to embrace my authenticity and living my true self, and inspiring you to do the same, to pursue your goodness and to live your true self. And that's what I'm here for. I'm here to make a difference and an impact. And I'm so proud that it is. And to share some stats with you, I've generated 905 downloads as of recording this episode. I've generated 905 downloads over the course of the 50 episodes. So that's a cumulative across the US, UK, India, and New Zealand. And then there's a bracket of other. And so, like, who knew? People are listening to this. Maybe that's you, right? You're in the US. I don't know. Maybe you're in the UK, India, New Zealand. But I am so grateful to be impacting people across the globe and generating these downloads, and just look forward to impacting even more beautiful souls like yourself. Sharing the goodness of personal development and inner growth. And so let me make a little plug here. Like, help me do that. Like, share this podcast with anyone you think would benefit, your friends, colleagues, family members, whoever it might be. I would be so, so grateful. Just literally drop them a link to www.namishapatelowen.com, and you can go on, click on podcasts, and that's my podcast page, and you can find Live Your True Self podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, Google, Outcast. Oh my God, it's in so many places. So help me impact even more people going forward. That would mean the world to me. Number 8, why I am so proud, is community. So I've said it already, but I am super proud of you and cultivating a supportive and engaged community of listeners who resonate with me and my message and continue to support me on this journey of personal growth. And I'm super grateful to be journeying together as your guide, by your side, and being in this loving space together, because personal growth can sometimes be isolating, and it's not something you perhaps openly want to be doing, and it requires openness and honesty and vulnerability. And I'm just here for you, and the community that I've created that allows people to do that is something I'm super proud of, and very excited to continue to experience as it grows and evolves. And I'm all about making it safe for you to come together to have these meaningful conversations that allows you to go inward and notice what's happening for you in your inner world, on the inside, with so much love, without judgment, in order for you to see your goodness and help you progress and be even more successful doing what you love. And so it makes me so, so proud to have created a community that allows you and others to do that. And I am here for you. So much to be proud about. These are just some of the things that came up for me when I was thinking about celebrating 50 episodes. And I just want to say thank you for allowing me to share that with you. As I say, it means the world to me, and it makes me so proud that we are here celebrating 50 episodes together, and so many more episodes to come. There is just so much goodness. So let me take an opportunity to share some behind the scenes and what I use and how I create the podcast. And this is for all your kind of, interested folk who want to know the nuts and bolts behind the podcast. So, the first thing is I have an Excel spreadsheet, and this is for planning and tracking episodes. I have so many ideas of potential podcast episodes, and so the Excel spreadsheet allows me to track the episodes I've done. So it's just a spreadsheet of the podcast titles, what I share, the flavor of the meditation, and anything that I am sharing with you in terms of inviting you to sign up to or book onto. And so I have the history of the podcast episodes, and then I also have a look ahead of upcoming episodes and ideas and things that I want to share with you going forward. And so I just have this one spreadsheet that plans and tracks all the episodes. I also have a Word document, and I do that for each episode. So I have a dedicated folder per episode, and it will have the name, the number and the name of the episode. And in that folder in Finder, I will have a Word doc which includes the outline of the episode plus the meditation script, and then in there I'll include any of the supporting content, which will be the email that I'll send to my list for that episode, plus the social media captions that I'll use, etc. So it's one document for each episode that contains all the word elements of it. Number 3 is the Yeti microphone. So I shared this earlier, and it's a Yeti microphone. Bought it on Amazon, and that's what I use to record the podcast, and it just plugs into my Mac and off we go recording. The software that I use for recording is called QuickTime Player, and that is available on my MacBook Pro. And literally I just open that up and do a audio recording, and that records the audio file, which is exactly what I'm doing now. Sometimes I can do it in one hit, and other times, because we are close to a sort of, well, it's not close, but behind our house there's like a railway track, and sometimes like noisy trains come by, and so every so often I have to stop it. And we also have like a military base local, and sometimes I have Chinooks flying by and other aircraft, which also end up being quite noisy and pretty much shake the house. And so I will start and stop and then just piece together some of those audio recordings that I take. And the software that I do that on is GarageBand, and also that is available on the MacBook Pro, and something that I've learnt to do myself for all the editing. And again, I do that for each episode, and I've got a standard sort of structure which you will be familiar with, and all of that's done on GarageBand. And I put together the intro and the standard opening, plus the content of the main episode, the meditation, the music, the outro. All of that is done on GarageBand, and then once it's all set up, I export that into a particular file, which is what I share on my hosting software platform, which I use is Kajabi. And Kajabi is the software platform that I use for actually all my all my hosting. So it hosts my website, it hosts my email list, plus my podcast, plus the program, Be the Energy program, and yeah, pretty much hosts everything, which is great. So everything is in one place. And the podcast page on my website, so if you go to www.namishapatelowen.com, and I believe it's live-true-your-self, on there you will see the podcast page, and it will have all the podcast episodes, all 50 episodes. And the podcast itself is also distributed on Apple Podcast, Spotify, Amazon, Google, Outcast. I mean, it's on a few other places that I don't even know, to be honest, but when I get the analytics, it comes up there as other, but you can drill down into it. So you can literally, once you've set up the podcast, which I did obviously way back when, you have this thing called RSS feed, and you can essentially copy that URL and make my podcast available on those different platforms and distribute it to different platforms. And it does that all automatically. So once I upload my new podcast episode on Kajabi, which is my platform, it automatically populates it onto Apple, Spotify, Amazon, Google, what have you, and is out there in the world automatically. So actually, once you set it up behind the scenes, it is quite seamless, I have to admit. The other thing I do is share the new episodes with my email list. So I have a dedicated email list, people who have subscribed to from previous things, really, either Monday Mindset Mail, which is my weekly newsletter, or a particular training that I have done. Currently I'm running 3 simple steps to stop doubting yourself. And so if you want that free training, go to my website and sign up for that. You just have to put your email in. You'll be added to my email list, but you'll also get the free training, which is 3 simple steps to stop doubting yourself in less than 30 minutes. That's the training, and you'll get 3 video lessons on that. Then you automatically appear on my email list, and you will be notified of my weekly podcast episodes straight in your inbox, so you will never miss a nourishing episode of Live Your True Self. The other thing I do is obviously promote the podcast episodes on Instagram and on LinkedIn. On LinkedIn, I actually created a newsletter, and so Live Your True Self is a standalone newsletter where I publish the episode as a newsletter also, and you can literally listen to it on LinkedIn, if that makes sense. So you can actually listen to the episode without leaving LinkedIn, which is something LinkedIn likes apparently. And so I am doing that, which is great. I didn't do that from the beginning. I think I've probably done that for the last I think I did it from the beginning of this year, so it must be for the last 12, maybe 10 to 12 episodes. So yeah, it's kind of growing, and people can actually subscribe to the podcast on LinkedIn. And so I have subscribers to the podcast actually on LinkedIn, which is also very fun. And the other thing that I do is post the episodes on my YouTube channel. So I have a YouTube channel. Don't use it actively, but nevertheless have automated it so that the podcast episodes also appear on my YouTube channel. So anyone who uses YouTube can also listen to the podcast there. So that is some of the behind the scenes and what I use and how I create the podcast, which I hope you found useful. So what can you expect from me going forward? Well, in a nutshell, more of the same. More of the same, this goodness. But what I would say is really it will be me stepping into this version of myself. 50 episodes in, I have really seen and am experiencing much growth, and so that growth will feed into the podcasts in terms of what I'm sharing with you and how I'm sharing it with you going forward. And what I expect from you. And I don't often expect anything from anyone, but genuinely, I would love to hear from you. I would love to hear from you. If you are listening to me here, reach out to me. Just come and say hello. It would mean the world to me. You can either email me support@namishpatelowen.com, or just message me anywhere on the socials, on Instagram or on LinkedIn. Just direct message me and just say, hi, I'm a podcast listener. And then we can take it from there. Like we can just let the conversation flow from there. It would just mean the world to hear from you, knowing that you are here in my community, and that I get an opportunity to really connect with you at a deeper level. So let me just say thank you for being part of this beautiful community, my lovely. Your support means the world to me. If you love what you hear, right? If you loved what you've heard, please share your feedback with me. As I say, you can do that via email. You can drop me a message, and we can even jump on a call if that is something that resonates for you. And I would be so grateful if you do love what you hear, if you could kindly leave me a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts, because this simple act helps me reach and impact more incredible people just like you on their journey to self-discovery and personal growth. And that's my purpose, and that's what I'm here to do. And your support and your continued help on that would be so gratefully received. So thank you for allowing me to celebrate 50 episodes of Live Your True Self. It is such a pleasure to serve you in this way. Like, I can't believe we just get to have this type of conversation week in, week out, and I get to support you on your journey, and you show up for yourself in this way. Like, it's such a beautiful thing, and we get to do it week in, week out, and it's free. Like, oh my God, how amazing is this? Going back to last week's episode, which is being in the middle of a miracle. Like, this truly is a miracle to me. This is an absolute miracle. Being able to be here and share my heart with you. Like, oh my God, so good. So thank you. I would love for you to spend a moment or two celebrating you, and really coming up with your 6 to 8 things that you are proud of about yourself. Right? Today we're not doing a meditation. Today I'm leaving you with something to journal on, which is exactly that. What are you celebrating? And what makes you proud of yourself? Come up with 6 to 8 things and reasons why, and be really specific, just like I have done with you today. because we get to celebrate ourselves. Like, this is something we must do. And I am so grateful that you've allowed me to do that with you today. And you get to do that, and you get to share your celebrations with anyone you choose to. And you are so welcome to share that with me if that resonates with you. So thank you. Until next week, keep shining your light, and may you always live your true self. Namaste. Thank you for listening to another episode of Live Your True Self podcast. I would be super grateful if you would be kind enough to leave me a 5-star rating and review in Apple Podcasts. I really appreciate you, and this simple act helps me reach and impact more women on a path of self-discovery and helping them live their true self. Thank you.